we don't want to be late. I'd like to call on Marcheline, is it Podewiltz? Podewiltz. It's so much beautiful, more better when you say it. Podewiltz. She's from Kunene, all the way from Kunene. She is the manager of the, get this, Kwadi Kwas Conservation.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Marcheline Podewiltz, as Ms. Nangola said, the manager of Kwas Conservancy. A lot of people struggle with our name, but then it basically means Elephant's Corner. Yeah. Our conservancy is located in the Kunene region. It's actually one of the biggest conservancies. You will find it on the northwestern side of the Etosha National Park. Yeah. We are going to go a bit into our history. Oh. Okay. The reason why we named it Elephant's Corner is because it's within the wildlife corridors of elephants, and we get a lot of elephant visits. Kwas Conservancy was started off well after the Grootberg Farmers Union was established in 1990. We are conservationists by blood, because we believe that if we coexist with wildlife, we can conquer a lot of difficulties, because wildlife is part of us. Yeah, well, the wildlife are part of us. Conservancies were started by supported. The economical part of conservancies was supported by the Nature Conservation Amendment Act of 1996, which allowed communal areas to really just manage and utilize game for their benefit. Yeah? The process was started in 1996. The management of the day was negotiating border lines with the farmers, and we started drafting the constitution. And finally, in 1998, Kwas was gazetted alongside 3 other conservancies, which is Tora, Nainai, and Shalombala. Yeah. Then we will go to our business enterprises, or what I would say, our main income streams. We have our beautiful, and this is what we pride on. Ne? This is our bread basket. Firstly, Grootberg Lodge. You would see it's on a mountain. Eh? So you drive up like a beautiful, some people are afraid. I was also the first day. Whew. But then it's a very beautiful place. So Grootberg Lodge was established in 2012. We had funds from the European Union through the Namibia Tourism Development Project of our mother body, the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. Grootberg Lodge was the first, we pride on this also, the first lodge that was established, which is 100% owned by the members. Although we are 100% owned by the members, we are being managed and marketed by a management company. So this is because we are not yet there skill-wise. So they are there to assist us with management so that we can get to that level and one day take over. Then secondly, we have Hobatere Lodge. Hobatere Lodge is alongside the borders of Etosha National Park. It's a concession. So there we have leasehold rights. So we pay a certain rental fee to the ministry. For a contract of 20 years, we have that leasehold right, and then we have to renew it every once in a while. It's also being managed by our management company. Then thirdly, we have our campsite, which is WADA campsite. WADA basically means it's for all of us. Okay. Then we have, oh wait, it's not moving, okay. Then we are coming to our benefit distribution plan. Benefit distribution plan is basically how we as Twadi Cross Conservancy, we get income, right? Every once in a while, it may be little, sometimes it's, but it's basically how we take our income and plow it into our members, like make sure everyone benefits in a sense. Our benefit distribution plan is being reviewed every year. Once our financial year ends, we have an AGM. An AGM is our annual general meeting where our members sit down and then we decide, okay, we have a budget, and then according to our budget, this is what exactly we are going to be, depending on the needs of the time. This is exactly what we are going to need, and then this is how we are going to utilize the money, or so on. There are certain benefits that will appear every year because, I mean, we coexist with wildlife. So, example being elephant diesel. We have, elephants are a bit problematic. So they come to the farm and then they damage infrastructure or the dams, and then the people are there without water. There is obviously need for water for the livestock and for human consumption, so they will damage the dams. And so we use the elephant diesel to give the farmers so that they can use that diesel to pump their water pumps for those that have diesel engines. And then we have human-wildlife conflict offset. Our mother body, the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, has a human-wildlife conflict offset, where they assist with payments to enlighten that pressure of the human-wildlife conflict. So we top up to that. So we have a certain amount of money put aside to assist and to in case there are instances where we don't get to investigate certain incidents. So that incident might not have been investigated, so it's maybe declined when a review panel sits down. So we would then step in and then use the money we put aside to pay for such incidents or so on. And then thirdly, we have the funeral assistance. The funeral assistance is obviously, let me not say obviously, but then when a member of the conservancy passes on, we assist the families if they can't, because some families, let me point this out, we use an equitable method. Equitable method, we don't use an equal method. This basically means the worse you're suffering, the more your loss, the more you benefit. So that we all can be at an equal level. So we have the funeral benefit, and then we have study assistance for youth, and then we have we have youth, we have funds put aside for the youth, apart from the study assistance, for in case there are projects for them. We have league benefits. We have funds put aside for elders, in case any programs come up or projects come up for elders, so that those funds can be used. As I said, it differs from year to year on the needs that arise. We have, I would say, we usually say there are direct and indirect benefits. So another indirect benefit is obviously employment, because our lodges employ about 98% of our employees are members of the conservancy, which is very important because we want to empower our people, and we see that as a very big contribution towards our upliftment and our growth as a conservancy. Okay. And I would like to point out that we focus more on group benefits because Twadi Cross Conservancy has members of about 3,000 plus people, which is very difficult when it comes to benefit distribution, because we can't just help individuals like that. We have to make it a group thing so that more people can benefit. And then, yeah, and then, okay, youth in tourism. When we come to youth in tourism, we have, as I mentioned before, a study assistance. This is basically us. We decided that we are going to focus on registration fees for students, since we have a lot of youth in our conservancy. So we assist with registration fees for them to pursue their careers. If not, if we have maybe a bit more money, then we can look at meeting them halfway, and then they give the rest. Okay, and then from Kroelberg Lodge, which I said is our breadbasket, we have an education fund. So that education fund is basically us looking for individuals and young people within our conservancy that are promising and that we see have interest in, we focus on tourism, have interest in the industry and that are willing to go and pursue their studies. And then we assist them with a scholarship, fully funded scholarship. And then we had an example of a student that took part in this. It was funded from the education fund about 2 or so years ago, and then we are looking towards assisting more students, and yeah, it's a work in progress. And then lastly, we have, as I said, employment and skill upliftment. 98% of our members are employed at the lodges, and the manager of the lodge is also a member of the conservancy. So we are working towards uplifting our youth and then them being able to take over the conservancy's management at some point. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, Marcheline, that was excellent. First of all, isn't her voice so soothing? I could listen to you all day long. I think you know how to sing, isn't it?
A bit.
I know you have it. I'm a church girl. I know a singing voice when I hear one. Thank you very much. I think your presentation really encapsulated what we meant when we said the theme is beyond borders. Mm-hmm. So the way the conservancies are set up, it's such that it reaches the people, it protects the environment all along while we are engaging in touristic activities. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And so we do have, I'm going to watch time. We have about 13 minutes for questions, comments. I know it's after lunch. Should we do some exercises? Kunene region. James has no mic.
Good afternoon. And this is a session, we call it a graveyard session. No, I have a few questions. The first one is, over the years, the government is trying to do a lot of things. What is your take on decentralization so that government can do more? How will you advise the government to fasten that process? Second one is, we have come to realize that there's mining activities happening in some of the conservancies. There's minerals be found now. How will you tackle it? Will you stop it or will you encourage it? Because you know that mining and conservancy and animals, they don't work together usually. But only in Orange Moon, there they understand each other. Last question. Your take on climate change and how do you understand it and how do you educate your community about climate change? Because sometimes it's not the elephant that is trying to be met, it's because of the climate. Where their habitat was it's not the same anymore. And yeah, how do you tackle it as a community? And then when you come to animals, what you call it, products, like the poo and those things, is understand that it's medicine. Did you do any research? Are you welcoming to bring research there to understand, okay, animals, some of these wild animals, can we use it for medicines? Because in traditional medicines, what you call it, so that we can open the market for, yeah, that's all.
Okay, so the first question you asked, I think you turned Marcheline into a policymaker. Is that what you did there? And you asked how she would advise the government on ensuring that regional development is achieved away from just, I guess, centering in our urban towns. That's what you wanted to answer? Tell the minister now how they should go about that.
Can you repeat that again?
Advise the government on the best way to avoid, you know how we all come crowding into cities, we all want to live in the city. So how do we encourage rural and regional development so that we don't have this problem of overcrowded cities and?
I think maybe one way the government can go about that is projects in rural areas. If there are more activities going on in the rural area, obviously then the people might settle in the rural areas. So I think that's maybe one way the government can go about
Marcheline for president. Marcheline for president. You have my vote.
On the point of mining, mining is recently a very difficult topic to talk about when it comes to conservancies. But in our conservancy, okay, like most conservancies, we have a zonation plan. So the zonation plan is basically how we zone our conservancy. We have the exclusive wildlife zone, we have the breeding zone. Exclusive wildlife zone is the breeding zone. We have the settlement zone and so on. So if maybe an EPL comes through, then we look where exactly it is and how our wildlife will be affected by it. But if it's in an area, okay, so we absolutely don't allow mining in our exclusive wildlife zone. So if it's outside the exclusive wildlife zone, maybe in a settlement area, then the people in that settlement area have to be consulted, which is obviously a process for the EPL application or so on. So if the people in the area are like, no, it's fine, then we can go ahead, because it's also part of development. Mining is also going to bring in income for whoever is around there. So we can't stop it. We can just make it safe for everyone and, yeah, make it work. And when it comes to climate change, we don't really have or give out training in our conservancy. We don't really give out training, but then we have a lot of support organizations that come in and give training on how we can work around the whole climate change process. But we as a conservancy don't really have that. Maybe we can look into that. And then the last question, I didn't really get it well.
He said, how can we begin to start harnessing the benefits of our animals and our traditional medicines, I guess, to benefit our people? We could even probably start exporting it. I mean, I like that question, trade. If you're aware, because I think you mentioned, you said elephant diesel.
Yeah.
And I think he knew what you meant by elephant diesel. So he's saying expand that into like other purposes that you can use it. It can be medicinal purposes.
Yeah.
And how can we do that?
We can explore. We can explore, because right now, I must say we are like this. So if people with such ideas come across, and then if we get such ideas, we most definitely can explore different ways to utilize this animal dungs and so on. Yeah.
Indigenous medicine.
Yeah.
Or indigenous ingredients. Very good. Any other questions? Thank you. I think, thank you very much, Marcheline, for
for that insight of how the communities benefits from conservancies, because more often we hear about conservancies and we read about how much of the space of Namibia is under some sort of protections, but we do not really get to know what do the people that are under that protection benefit. All that we know is the lodges get built in the conservancies, and do the people benefit? Now that we have listened to your presentation, yes, it is really an eye-opener. And I think that is where people like the first presenter, Revonia, could come in really there and see how do the corporates works with conservancies to give them a little bit of the subsidies. When you say it's not always such a boomy business. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's probably where we can really, conservancies versus foundations or corporates, how do they get to help either the school or the learners or whoever that lives really within that communities. And thank you so much.
Marcheline, I think when we hear you, your passion is just transpires. I mean, how can you not get taken away from it? But then my question is linked what Maggie was saying. How did some of the in the society, why there's people against the conservancy? Because there is a movement I think against the conservancy, but when I hear you, I don't believe that there are reasons for it. So what's your take on that? What's behind it? Why you guys from the conservancy that you are so passionate, like we can hear, and then have to deal with maybe negative stories around it? What is your take on that?
I think it comes, I think I should mention, people, if you are not there, then you have a lot of negative opinions about it. But then when you're there, then you see how connected it makes the people, how it joins the people. So it's basically just the people's opinions on it. They don't see how it benefits the people, how it joins the people to a specific purpose. So yeah, it's people's opinions. Yeah. And then not knowing what exactly is happening.
I'm glad you're saying this, because I also operate in a conservancy, and we know how much is happening, and sometimes the external factors and people who don't live on the daily basis in a conservancy is the one bringing negativity. So I really praise your courage and your passion, because you should keep up that positive side of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's contagious. It's contagious.
All right. Yes. My point is, I'm Nestor from Oranjemund, and I'm really also impressed on your conduct and what your conservancy is doing right there. I think if maybe all conservancy can replicate already what you do, and even in the future, as in other areas, if that's not what be done, I think it's really gonna eliminate even issues of people migrating from rural areas to urban areas, because then there's something to look about where they are, and they are being taken care of where they are. Also, it would be also good if you could have presented some statistic in terms of youth benefits and actually what has been done, more in terms of statistic. I think it could give much a bigger pictures of what is being done there. And also, I don't know the systems that are in place in terms of being prepared maybe on sustainabilities. We know like issue of COVID-19. How could, if such things happen again, how can the industry and your program in terms of conservancy be able to sustain themselves? Is there like maybe a security kind of funds that you put aside, or how do you intend to mitigate yourself if such things, for example, happen? And my last is just to also indicate that in Oranjemund, of course, there are a number of conservancies that will perhaps open up in the future, and those are, we might look to come and see how you are doing there, and so that those conservance areas also benefit the local that side. And we look forward for you to rate us and also like our pictures for the Town of the Year. Thank you.
Okay.
He's been waiting long.
I must say we have a fund, not a fund, we have a savings or investment account where it's also part of, we put it as under our benefit distribution, should I say budget. We have that savings account for a rainy day. So in case something like COVID comes up, we have money saved aside for that. And I must point out, we have organizations that really support conservancies. I can't mention them because I might leave out some, but then during COVID, we had CRRF grant that assisted us with operations, and that helped us a lot. So we have organizations that assist us, that support us financially, technically, and whatever need there may be. So, yeah.
Thank you, Marcheline. My question was going back to something you said about the management company you're working with and the goal of being able to do that work within the conservancy, which I think is amazing. You have a group of people here who have experience in lodge management. And so my question is, how are you addressing the capacity gap, and where are your biggest areas of need in developing the capacity to manage these facilities yourself?
Okay, our work towards that is basically our employees. The current employees that are at the lodge, we are trying to we put them in those places so that they can directly learn from the managing company. However, the difficulty that we have is education and qualification. Most of our rural people don't have that. So that is something that is a bit needed so that you can manage, and tourism is, managing a lodge is not easy. So having that educational background is what we lack. But then we are working towards, that's where the education fund comes in. We are working towards getting someone in there, going, maybe coming to the management company and then learning from them, because they are based in Windhoek here, learning directly from them how they operate, how they market the lodge, and so on. So we are working towards that. It's a long process, but we are gonna get there, hopefully, yeah.
My question was answered already.
Oh.
By your question. So.
Oh, okay.
My question is, so we are conserving animals, right, as well as plants. But as part of our tourism in Namibia, we find that we are trophy hunting is one of the biggest things that people come to Namibia. So I want to know, like, what's the balance between conserving and trophy hunting, especially in regards to the endangered species like the rhinos?
Okay, so when it comes to hunting, at conservancies we call it conservation hunting because it's for the benefit of the people. There are a lot of doubts when it comes to hunting, but trust me, it's being done in a managed and controlled manner. Firstly, we have the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism that is guiding the whole process. We have our environmental shepherds, we call them environmental shepherds, our game guards are environmental shepherds. So the environmental shepherds have event books where they fill in how many elephants they saw per day, what they saw in their patrols, and then their fixed route patrols, we have the annual game count. So all that data is being collected, and then the ministry sits down and then it says, okay, Huarikmas has this many elephants, they have this many zebras, they have this many what? Fine, this specific species is overpopulated. So maybe perhaps we can give them one elephant and then they can hunt that elephant. So it's being controlled, and we have the quota setting where we are only allowed to hunt maybe perhaps one elephant per year or so on. And that process is being reviewed after every 3 years, then only we get a new quota. So yeah, it's managed and controlled by our mother body, the ministry. Yeah, so it's done in a sustainable manner. We don't just stand up and just hunt or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Hello. My question is, since education is kind of a problem in most Namibian communities, what strategies are there in your conservancy to encourage, education and innovation towards, the youth and also the community at large? Do you have any strategies at place to, incorporate both innovation and sustainability for them to balance, in a good way? And yeah.
Right now we don't have programs specifically for that, but then I must say we give training when need arise. We give training to the youth on specific topics and so on, but there is no project right now. Yeah.
Yeah, mine is on the question of education. It's more of a comment than a question. In the tourism industry, not only in Namibia but worldwide, the biggest challenge to tourism is skills deficiency. To the extent that we have international companies coming to scout for staff here in Namibia. I've got Hansa Park in Germany. They've taken 60 Namibians to work in their play park. They took 30 last year and took 60 this year. So Han and the Hospitality Association, who I work for, we've, for this year's Congress, dedicated ourselves to co-creating a tourism training roadmap, because the challenge at Kwadehuas and Grootberg is a challenge that the biggest hotels in Europe also face, and that is skills sufficiency and the lack of proper and suitable training. And the problem is that, we have beautiful programs at university and around us of this world. Han has actually done a study, and for our Congress we selected some 23 different training institutions from the higher tertiary level to vocational training to in-house training, and that still doesn't seem to pave the way towards efficient and sustainable training. So it's a work in progress, and I really hope that somebody or that everybody in tourism buys into it, because it's a give and take. We need the trainers, but we also need the industry to then be willing to take in the internships and make positions available to apprentices to actually learn on the job, because we in tourism feel that that is still the best way of learning, because tourism is a different kettle of fish. It's not something that you learn at the university and then roll out your expertise. It's a very hands-on industry and a people's industry. But just to note that the experience or the problems faced in skills sufficiency at a little lodge at Hobatero or Grootberg is the same that the international world currently faces, so we're in it together. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Future. I just wanted to find out, specifically looking at the conservancies, one thing, and I just want to share the gentleman with the blue sentiments. with regards to this presentation is so beautiful. Everything is so well done. We really appreciate the information you're bringing to us. I feel like there's one little aspect that I'm still missing with this is too often we have people coming forth and they'll be like, oh, we do this, we do this, we do this. I feel like the one little thing that I feel like maybe is missing in my eyes is pictures, information on which schools in particular you guys are taking care of, which communities we need to see projects, we need to see it. As much as all of this is beautiful said, you know, you always want to just see, associate the next time when I go to the region, be like, oh, that's the conservancy that you guys are working with, per se. So I think that's just my 2 cents to it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. My name is Omega Shimango. I'm from the IUM, but I'm going to speak on my own behalf. Thank you for the presentation. I want to mention something on capacity and training, because we're into training also. As a conservancy, have you thought about knowledge management? Because we may blame our staff for not having maybe grade 10, grade 12, or university qualifications or vocational, but there is a lot of indigenous knowledge that they have. For instance, if there's a fire outbreak, for instance, how to treat maybe a snake bite or a scorpion bite, or maybe how to check the stars and explain if we're going to have some rain or not. There is a lot that is going on, and our worry now is if the people who are running the conservancy are not capturing that, chances are all that knowledge is going to be swept away in pursuit of maybe table setting or housekeeping or front office or marketing, but the indigenous knowledge that is there in the conservancy, because these are the people who grew up in the conservancy, they were born there, okay? They speak better. A gentleman was mentioning the issue of herbs for medicinal purposes. We need you, you are there in the conservancy to capture that. Find time, there are private institutions of higher learning that are offering knowledge management. So let's take also that opportunity to capture all that is known in terms of animal behavior. If the matriarch elephant has been killed, what is the behavior of the rest of the herd? What are we going to do about it? If we have a drought and we find the predators are getting closer and closer to maybe goats or small livestock, how do we handle it? I think such knowledge has to be captured for now and for the future. So as a conservant manager, I pray and I trust you will not wait. It's work in progress, but please don't wait until people have diplomas and degrees and all. But let's capture what we have. It can actually be sold. You can patent, you can have, I think WIPO and BIPA, they are there to capture such knowledge. Is very, very powerful. Yeah, mosquito repellents, what plants do we have that can actually repel the snakes from coming to the campsite? The people in the conservancy, they know this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Good comment. It depends on if we want to continue or break for coffee. Shall we break for coffee?
Yes. We had that.
Or a small break?
Before we go for a small break, I just want to ask I don't want to talk about politics, but your political leaders, your governors, your councillors, how involved are they in the development of youth, tourism, development of the industry, development? Because this industry is so big. Are you also talking about aviation, airports, the stripes? As people always use the roads, are the roads continually managed? Is it safe? Is your tourist safe? Is there a network? Are you discussing those? Are you asking when is MTC coming to put that camp? Because things are happening. When people need to communicate, they say, I saw a lion this morning, but I don't know where he went, so check it out, or something like that. Those questions must be answered before the break.
I think you must get involved in representing the people of your region and taking your questions, comments, and concerns to your local authorities and really advocating on their behalf. Because this is the second time you brought up that MTC. I don't think Marcheline is going to answer that. So I think you're the one who should carry the torch. You're the one who should be the voice of your people, because I can tell you're passionate, most passionate about it. But you can tell him about the level of development or infrastructure of your conservancy or...
Politics are very sensitive. It's a very sensitive topic, so I can't say much. But there's a network tower at the lodge, close to the lodge. Now we are having difficulties, especially when it comes to, what do they call it? Warnings, signals, and so on. We have difficulty at the farms, for them to get network. So if there's a lion close by, it's difficult for the lion rangers to inform the farmers. Maybe there's a lion close to your farm or whatsoever. So there are challenges with the network. The roads, they are not that bad, but they are being maintained, but it's not of good quality since it's a rural area. But then I can't say where exactly we should go for that. And yeah.
Thank you. So it's coffee break time, but we can...
break for coffee.
Yes.
I'd just like to comment, so I know with the mic, and I'd like to comment because I know your area very well, so I need to share this. So I do think the MTC signal is a lot better in your area.
Yeah.
So much so that we had to cover how the lions were now dying of hunger because of the warning systems that were put in place that they couldn't hunt the livestock of individuals. So it was quite a wonderful story on the one side to tell that the signals was working, and no one saw the unintentional consequences of the lions not being, which is not a good thing, don't get me wrong. They were not hunting the livestock of individuals. So sometimes technology is a double-edged sword. Depends whether you're in the livestock fans or the lions. But I know that story of Grootberg, why Chris Grootberg told me that story, why because I went to Grootberg and experienced that wonderful culture of Grootberg in its grassroots levels where you visit every little village. So yes, I do think the technology is a lot better. In fairness to MPC, the LA 100 program has been brilliantly done and it really rolled out well. So I hear the question certain areas done, but for a country of 2.5 million people, MPC is done brilliantly. But I don't pay me to say it. So I need to come up with it. It's really done well. But unfortunately in life, there's always areas that are down.